Hello, good morning. Okay, to officially start today's lecture, I have already recorded this class. May I request everyone to Zoom to please mute your microphones at all times. Thank you. Okay, so in writing your introduction, so you will be encountering these different tasks. You need to describe the diagram, such as illustrations, maps, flow charts, and process. Then for graphs, you have chart lines, bar graphs, pie graphs, and tables. Grabe, no? Ang intense ng writing activities ng mga ACAD students. So, in the beginning of your test, there's always going to be a task description. Okay? So, even sa mga GT students, you will also have a task description wherein it's very important for you to read and understand the instruction given in the task description. Okay? So, ito yung mababasa nyo usually though. You will be reading something like the line graph gives information and then it ends with the presentation illustrates data on the daily commuters of United Kingdom. So now, once you already have the task description, you have to make sure that you understand what is the task that is asked for you to describe. So what should you do in that case? Are you going to repeat what is written in the task description? It is highly discouraged for you to repeat because test examiners who are going to check your writing, they've already read numerous answers. Now, if you are to repeat what is written in the task description, they would regard it as you are not very competitive in terms of vocabulary. Okay, so what should you do then if you are not going to rewrite or repeat what is in the instruction? So for you to show your competitive side, it's best if you just paraphrase what is written in the task description. You're not going to repeat exact words, but what you could do is provide synonyms when you're paraphrasing. Does everybody know what paraphrase means? Are you familiar with paraphrasing? It's basically repeating what the sentence is. It's just that you're going to use probably a different structure or synonyms, or you can use words and alternate it with phrasal verbs or collocations. All right? Are you a GT student or ACAD? Oh, perfect. It only means that the two guys behind are the only ones who are not gonna make use of these vocabulary words. But still, it's nice and cold in this room, so probably you're okay. Okay. So, sa mga lalabas sa exam, is this Tony? Hindi kita nakilala because you got your haircut. Okay, so you will be encountering these. The thing is, you will be having time limitation. Okay. So 60 minutes. The exam is 60 minutes. But the thing is, I feel like when I took the 60-minute for each subtest, except the speaking subtest, I felt like that's the fastest 60 minutes in my life. Kasi parang sobrang bilis lumipas ng 1 hour, right? So, that's why you have to be very mentally prepared so that hindi ka masyadong matutulala if ever man nalito ka sa graph or sa chart na makikita mo. All right, so you will be interpreting data, figures, numbers, amounts, quantities, percentage, proportions, ratio, and rates. Okay, so we will be discussing the most applicable terms and vocabulary that you could use and how correctly you can use these. Okay, let's start with number. This is the most common word that you could use because, yes, you will be seeing a lot of numbers in those tables, charts, and graphs. So, when you are describing the number, it is always supposed to be accompanied with the article, the, and the preposition of. Okay? Pero nasa gitna siya. The number of. If you just use the word number, it makes it grammatically incorrect. So, for example, the number of visitors. Okay. There is something sa laptop ni Sir Kevin na he easily shows different kinds of drawings on the screen. If you've watched his presentations and his replay videos, you can notice that he can easily, like, parang gagawa siya dyan ng space and then he can start drawing graphs. However, on my computer, I don't know how to do that. I'm so sorry. So I will maximize the lecture by describing grammatical and vocabulary usage, okay? And if you want to watch his lectures, it's always available on his YouTube channel. And if ever you can't find it, you just type on the search bar ng Wong Chong group chat. You can type vocabulary for IELTS and it will appear automatically on your screen. So you can just click that. All right. And also, don't mind taking photos or screenshots or photos of these slides because we will be providing PDF files. All right. So after the lecture, when I post a replay of this video, the PDF links will be provided as well. And I need you to also listen carefully because after this lecture, we will be having a short writing quiz. Okay? Okay. The number of. So we use this when we are talking about plural nouns. The number of people, the number of houses, the number of vehicles. Okay? So now the question is, are you going to use is or are? The number of vehicles is in the number of vehicles is quite big. Okay, always use is because even though vehicles, the noun, is in plural form, we are using this phrase, the number of. That's why you use is. It makes it singular, okay? Okay. Don't use the number of when you're describing percentage because magkaiba yung percentage, okay? And then you can't use it if you are describing uncountable nouns. As we know, uncountable nouns are referring to nouns that you cannot count. Examples are concrete nouns and abstract nouns. Okay? Concrete nouns are nouns that are in liquid form or powder form. Now, for examples, the best examples that you can think of are the things that you can find in the kitchen, like water, milk, because you can't really count those things, right? Coffee, sugar, you would always use a phrase. For example, a kilogram of sugar or a cup of coffee, a gallon of water. Okay, so you can't say the number of water or the number of milk. So it is not applicable on uncountable nouns. Okay. Another example is abstract nouns. When we say abstract nouns, those are nouns that are intangible. You can't touch. For example, trust or faith or resilience, versatility. Those are intangible nouns wherein you can't use the term the number of. Okay? Is that clear? Okay, now let's talk about the amount or quantity. Okay, again, you will be using it in a phrase with the determiner the and the preposition of. The amount of. Again, you cannot use this in you can use this in uncountable noun. For example, the amount of money. Okay, the amount of what other uncountable nouns can we think of? The amount of flour that you should add in this pastry is just half kilogram. Don't use it with countable nouns. The amount of person or people. Okay, so the number of is used for countable nouns, wherein the amount of is used for uncountable nouns. Okay? So ito naman yung magagamit nyo sa mga uncountable nouns such as sugar, coffee, grain, rice. Okay? The amount of rice. Okay, next is proportion. When we say proportion, so this is only used to describe percentages, okay? Use the proportion of plus plural noun. For example, the proportion of people. So let's say may na-encounter kayong graph which asks you to describe or differentiate the proportion of people on the graph. For example, male, female, okay? The proportion of people is 50% female and 50% male, okay? Now figure, the figure of, and then you will add a plural noun. The figure for visitors to the UK. Again, you should use it in a phrase and you should, this time you're not going to use of, but you're going to use the preposition for. Okay. It can also be used when you're pertaining to uncountable nouns. The figure for unemployment has decreased or is declining. That's so sad. Use it with countries, for example, the figure for Canada. The figure for Canada, and yada, yada, yada. Use it with percentages. The figure for rose to 10%. The figure for the population rose for 20%. The population of probably you can say refugees. The figure for refugees rose to 25% in Ukraine. Okay. So it can be used in most situations. When we say figure, we're talking about numbers as well, right? Okay, now let's talk about ratio. Is everybody familiar with ratio? This simply means the relationship of things, of nouns, okay? So the relationship of the quantity or amount between two or more things. For example, in a classroom, it's asking you to describe the ratio of the female students and male students. So let's say we have 20 male students and 22 female students. Alam mo na agad na sa Philippines yung school na yun kasi ang dami. In other countries, usually they only have a limitation of maximum na siguro yung 35 students per class sa mga public schools. But in private schools, of course, we have like lower number of students. So ma'am, since you're a teacher, can you tell us what is the average number of students nowadays in elementary schools, in public schools?
Yes, 45 to 50. But during the pandemic, lowered 15 to 20.
What? 15 to 20?
During the pandemic.
So that was online classes. So ano na ginawa ng mga hindi na
face-to-face class? This school year, so 40 to 50. Balik ulit siya sa board.
Wow. That's not that much. Kasi nung practical teaching ako sa Nueva Ecija National High School, 65. So that was, wow. Kaya nga hindi ko tinuloy. So it's kind of nerve-wracking to handle such big amount of, number of students, right? Pero hindi rin naman kasi pumapasok lahat yon yung 65 eh. But still, let's say only 5 students are absent, so that's like still 60 students. Yes, okay. So the ratio of students, or let's talk about the ratio in a nursery room, in the nursery ward, at the hospital, you can find like pink, yung mga, anong tawag kapag yung binabalot sa baby? So blankets, okay, yeah. So babies, what is the ratio of male and female newborn babies in the hospital ward or nursery ward? Okay. All right. So an example sentence is the ratio of students to teachers in the school is 9 to 1. But there's no school in the Philippines that has this kind of ratio, I believe. But in other countries, I think they do, because I've encountered that as well. Okay, so next we have data. So most of you would be asking, what is the right pronunciation of this word? Is it data or data? They're actually both acceptable. It's just that be consistent with what you're gonna use. If you use data, stick to it. If you're gonna say data, then stick to it as well. All right? Hindi yung paiba-iba ka, ganon. So be consistent with your pronunciation. Okay. It may be used as a singular or plural noun, preferably used as an object rather than a subject to avoid confusions. Okay. I have something to note about this. Okay, so when you are using the word data, you use it as an object. Okay, so as you know, the normal sentence structure is subject, verb, and then object. So it's better if you say the graph, which is the subject. As you can see, this is the example. Okay, so this is the subject, graph. This is the verb, shows. And then data is the object. So this is the most appropriate way for you to use data in a sentence. So we use it as an object instead of a subject. And the good thing about this expression is that you can use it either singular or plural form. Napakatahimik pagka ganito yung topic. Is it confusing? Or do you get it? Don't worry, these example sentences can be seen in the PDF file as well. Okay, these are the common verbs that you can use when you're doing your introduction, okay? So, usually, sa writing task ng ACAD students, when you see a graph, a pie chart, or a table of something, it asks you to depict or analyze the data, right? So these are the verbs that you can use when you paraphrase your task description. So in your introduction, you're going to use present. Commonly, this is the most commonly used word. It presents. The table presents. Okay. Imagine the test takers are 10 test takers in one testing center. And then the examiner encounters the same vocabulary words over and over. And then everybody use the word presents. So for sure, it won't make you stand out. Remember, in IELTS, one thing that you have to ensure is that your answers stand out from the rest, okay? But also you have to make sure that you don't overdo it, especially sa speaking task, the speaking subtest. Okay. So ito lang naman yung mga options mo. Shows, depicts, illustrates, presents, provides, describes, or compares, shows contrast, indicates, gives that data on, gives information on, presents information about, shows data about. Okay. Now, let's discuss the difference between presents and represents. Okay. It says here, what is shown directly, the chart presents the number of students in Grisham College. Okay, when we say present, it simply means it shows, okay? It shows the number of students. But the word represent, it means it's a representation of something, okay? It stands for something, okay? Present is like, they're both verbs. It's just that they are used in different contexts, okay? So when we say represent, it stands for, parang, this symbol stands for single women. So single women without children represented 54% of the total population. Okay? 54% is the total of single women without children. Meaning 46% are women with children. Okay? So the word represented is used to describe the percentage of women without children. Okay? Do you understand the difference on how to use present and represented? Yes? Is it clear? Okay. Another example, the chart. So the table presents the amount of milk that was consumed by the individuals in the canteen. Okay? Another example using represent is the students who had milk at the canteen represented 40% of the total population. 40% lang yung uminom ng milk, and probably the remaining 60% had the other option, which is probably juice or water, okay? So do you see the difference how to use those two sentences? Those two expressions, present and represent? Okay. Of course, when you are going to write about the task, you will definitely be using time expressions. And time expressions are very important. Why? Because time expressions can help you show accuracy of how you describe a certain table or graph. Okay? Kasi minsan, you can also encounter graphs that have dates. I hate that one the most. Because it's really difficult, right, Lucia? So, but yeah. So these are the expressions. In December. When do we use in and when do we use on? Nakakalito yan eh. Right? So when we are not yet certain of the date, we use the preposition in December, in 2005. When we are talking about something that is not 100%, you don't have the exact date. But if you do have an exact date, for example, when's your birthday? My birthday is on April 16th. On April 16th. When is your birthday? Kung ayaw mong i-reveal yung birthday mo, you can just say, my birthday is in April. Okay? Pero hindi ka nagbanggit ng date, so that's why you use in instead of on. Okay? Patapos na. Welcome to the class. I'm just kidding. All right. Now, if you want to talk about the duration, how long have you broken up with your former boyfriend? So, yeah, from 2001 to 2010, meaning you've been, oh, no, break na. Bitter yan. So, from 2001 to 2010, okay? So, meaning, how long have you been single? So, 2001, single siya. Tapos, until 2010. Pero, 2010 onwards, she already has a boyfriend. All right. Again, probably. Okay. So from 2001 to 2010, I remained single. Something like that. Okay. By 1998. So we use by when you are talking about the future or something that you foresee happening in the near future. For example, what do you think you will be doing by 2050? By 2050, I believe I have already achieved all my career goals. Parang tagal na, ilang taon na ako nun. Let's not do the math. Let's not do the math in this case, okay? Because we're talking about age. Hello, Binto, sa kanya. Okay. Pero ang tagal ng 2050, that's like 26 years from now, right? Hulaan nyo kailang taon na ako nun. Ang makakahula, exempted sa quiz later. Oh, paano kung makakapag-quiz? Eh, nakakapangalahati na tayo. Okay. So, yeah. Now, we use another example when using by. Let's say you have a business, okay? So, you've just started your business this year, this 2024. So, I can see an increase in my sales by the end of the week. By the end of the week. Agad. Okay. I can see a 50% increase in my profit by 2020, 2030, 2030. O hindi na yun masyadong matagal, that's just 6 years in the future. Okay? So when you're talking about something that you would like to see in the future, you use this preposition. Okay? between 1965 and 1969. Kung hindi ka sure what specific date or year something occurred, you can just use between and then two different years. Okay? Bakit ba naulit? May in na nga sa una, tapos may in February pa. Ulitin ko na lang din yung explanation. So yeah, you use in when you are not yet sure what specific date we are pertaining to. Over a period of 10 years. So, minsan makakita po kayo ng mga graphs which has increasing or declining figures, okay? So, let's say it's a graph about the population na lang. Okay, that's easier. Over a period of 10 years, it is shown on the graph that over a period of 10 years, there was an increasing population in the Philippines, which is true. Okay? Over a 10-year period or over a period of 10 years, it's the same thing. During the period, it means it's happening within the period. In the first half of the year, for the first quarter of the year, the last quarter of the year. Okay, when we say quarter, it means 3 months. Since in a year we have a total of 12 months. So if you're going to do the math, that's a quarter. 3 months is a quarter. So every 3 months, let's say January to March, that's the first quarter of the year. The second quarter of the year is April to June. Thank you so much. April to June. And then the third quarter is July to September. And then the fourth quarter is probably October to December. During the first decade, as we all know, decade is 10 years. Everybody is confused with decade and century, but I'm not saying everybody, but most people would ask me, so a decade is 10 years and a century is 100 years. Yes, that's right. Ano naman yung 1,000? Huh? Let's ask my best friend, Google. What's a millennium? A million years, malamang. Oh my God, 1,000 years term. Are you an ATEC student or GP? Huh? Ah, yeah. Are you a new student? Oh, kaka-enroll mo lang. What is it? Like now. Oh, welcome to the class. I'm Shannon, by the way. So, hindi mo pa alam kung GT ka or ACAD. So, which country? Huh? Pupuntahan mo, yeah. Canada. So, I think job. Is it for skilled workers or for... So, GT lang siya. Am I right? Is that the category? Di ba kayo pa tinanong ko? So, 1,000 years is a millennium. Bakit ganon? Millennium nga. Pero yun sabi ni Google eh. A millennium. Okay. How about a million years? That's something that you won't be encountering though, so... Okay, para lang meron kayong new knowledge. A million years is called meganum. Meganum. Parang, ano? May ganon. Or, parang magnum na ice cream. So I feel like GT ka. So I was saying earlier, this lecture is actually for ACAD students. Kevin or Roel. Yeah. But it's 10 a.m. Just kidding. So, ano, hindi ka sinabihan ni JP or Akad? Oh my God.
Kaya nakapasok na po ako.
Last week. Ah, okay. What was the topic last week? Ah, okay. I think sa writing din yun, no? But I've heard that many students are struggling with the reading subtests, actually. Pero writing din mahirap. Kaya okay lang din na topic to these days. Okay. So we're actually talking about time expressions that you could use when you're describing the graphs, the line graphs, the pie graphs, or whatsoever data that you need to analyze. Okay, I think this is easy to understand. Plus, for the newcomers, you will be receiving a copy of these PDF files, so you don't need to take photos anymore. Everything is provided for you. All you have to do is review these handouts. And of course, pero kung gusto niyo din naman, kasi nga may quiz later, so pwede rin namang screenshot, okay? Or take photos, I mean. Okay, now let's familiarize ourselves with words or verbs that describe an upward motion or an increasing rate of something. So these are called the up verbs. Okay, we have soar, rocket, increase. So if you all use the word increase, everybody uses the word increase and decrease. So it's really, really common nowadays. That's why we're encouraging you to expand your vocabulary, enhance your vocabulary bank, add more words para marami kang options. Just in case you forget the word increase or any word that describes yung pataas na motion, okay? So soar, it means to increase to a high level in a very short time. Example sentence. Soar is, okay, an example sentence. Let's talk about, let's say you encounter a graph that shows an increase when it comes to the consumption of fruits in a certain city, okay? So let's say Cabanatuan City. There is a soaring number of people who consume vegetables and fruits in this particular city. So pataas yung number or percentage. Now, rocket is more sudden than soar. Have you ever heard the term skyrocketing? The profits of the company skyrocketed to 50% within a week. Wow, amazing. Sana all. Okay, so yung profits daw ng isang business, ganun kabilis ang kanyang naging pagtaas. It skyrocketed. Okay? So if you use the term soar, it means that it increases to a high. Hi! Si ano pala to? Si Sheena. Okay, and then we have the rocket, which is a more sudden increase. Mas intense, gamitin yung word na rocket. Okay, now for the word leap, it shows a large and sudden rise. Again, you probably do not need to qualify it with an adverb. The price is leapt to 90% in 1 year. So when we say leap, it's not just a small increase, it's actually a big one. That's how you use the word leap when you're describing a big change or increase. And you can also use the word climb. For example, the population climbed to over 1 million by 1980. Okay. I think the Philippines population climbed to over 500,000 within a year. The joke lang. I'm not sure about the data, but when I was researching about it, it was 7 point something million, the population of the Philippines, but I think it already reached 8. So I'm not sure. I don't know if it's within the year or if it's within the month. I mean, not within the year. Parang 2 years yata or 1 year. Okay. So, ayan, marami na kayong options. You can use the word soar, you can use the word rocket, leap, and climb in replacement of the word increase. Akad ka ba, Sheena? Okay, that's good because this lecture is for ACAD students and it's for the writing subtest, okay? Just to, para updated ka kung ano man sinasabi ko ngayon. Okay, and then we also have another option, the word surge. It also means to rise suddenly. Okay, so these words, they are replacements for the word increase. A surge in migration is seen in November. A surge in migration from the Philippines to other countries is seen every year. Because everybody wants to go abroad and make bigger salaries, right? That's why we're here. Because you guys want to leave the country. You are the proof that there is a surge in migration. Oh my God. Kami na lang matitira dito sa Philippines. Okay. Now, of course, since we discussed the up verbs, we're definitely going to discuss down verbs. So these are words that you could use or expressions that you could use in replacement for the word decrease or decline. Okay. So first on the list is the term slip back. However, we don't use this term in all scenarios na nagde-decrease, okay? This is only used when, for example, this month, the percentage of the migrants is 50%, and then next month, which is, okay, let's just say January, 50%. And then February, it rose, or let's use the words that we learned earlier. It climbed to 60%. But in the month of March, it slipped back to 50%. So ibig sabihin ng slip back, it went back to the 50%. Do you get the point? So that's when we use the term slip back. Yung tumaas siya or bumaba siya in an interval of 1 month, and then after another month, bumalik siya sa 50%. Okay? It would have been better if I showed you a graph, but the thing is, I can't. So just imagine it. Okay. Drop and dip are normally used for fairly small decreases. Okay. When we're talking about small decreases or very subtle decreases, you use the words drop and dip. A drop in the crime rate can be seen last year. So, konti lang daw yung pag-decrease ng crime rate. At least nag-decrease. So, that's still good news. Okay. So this one, I believe it's not familiar to everyone, the word plummet. It is rarely used. Why? Because it is one of the strongest words that you could use when you're talking about a decrease. Okay? And it means to fall very quickly, mabilis yung pag-decrease, at the same time, malaki yung difference na makikita. Okay? So, when you use the word plummet, you don't only talk about small changes. We talk about major changes in the graph. Dapat pala magpakita na talaga ako ng graph kasi parang nahihirapan kayong mag-imagine, no? But the thing is, ang hirap mag-drawing eh. So, okay, let's say that this is, see, I told you. It's not a good idea. Okay, so what I'm gonna do to help you guys have a little bit of a visual aid is we're going to get some sources from the internet, okay? It will shortly be shown in the screen. Is the Wi-Fi slow today or is the laptop slow? Line graph. Wait lang guys medyo mabagal kasi. Pero eto na. Bakit ba ayaw mag-open? Okay, Zoom is currently not responding, so let's just wait for it. Hello. Okay, so actually, I'm trying to show you guys this, but There's a little bit of a problem. Kasi ayaw mag-open. It's not cooperating. Wait lang yung mga nasa Zoom. I-share ko na yung screen ko. Wait lang. So, ito siya. Can you guys see it? So, as you can see, babalikan ko lang yung mga nasa Zoom. Okay. Yan. Nakikita nyo na yung graph, right? Painin. It's not working properly. Ayan, ayan. Ito na talaga. So people from Zoom can already see this right now. Okay. So when you are describing a really big decrease, you can use the word plummet when you see something like this. Diba? If ito, pataas, it's an upward motion. This one naman, this is when you can use the word plummet. Because as you can see, sobrang laki nung pagbaba. Okay? So, ganyan yung mga may encounter ng mga ACAD students when it comes to interpreting these kinds of graphs, unfortunately. Pero good news sa mga GT students because the only task that you have to learn and study is making a letter. O mag-GT ka na lang. But anyway, kailangan mo ACAD eh. So, yeah. Letter writing lang yung sa mga GT. I'm not saying that it's that easy because letter writing is also very technical and you need to be familiarized with it. But I think it's easier compared to the ACAD test wherein you have to interpret these kinds of graphs, you know. And usually, if you're going to interpret these kinds of graphs, yung pinakamalaking changes ang i-emphasize mo sa writing mo, right? Because definitely, yun yung mga important na points na kailangan mong i-note. Okay. Okay, as you can see here, it says that that's the reason why I'm having a hard time with sharing the graphs because pagka this thing, the projector, kapag binago mo yung ipoproject mo na files, it actually takes a long time. So, yeah. Anyway, let's resume. So, another word that you could use when you're talking about a decrease is the word plunge. So, these two words, be very careful in using it, the word plummet and plunge, because you will only use it when there is a really big decrease or an extreme fall. Okay? Dapat kitang-kita siya dun sa graph or sa kung ano mang table na nasa writing task. Okay? For example, the number of students plunged from 1,400 to 150. So that's what you call an extreme fall. Okay. So now we're going to talk about vocabulary words that you could use when you are showing future projections, or what you can see. You can describe about what can happen in the future. Okay, will probably or likely reach 15,000 in 2020. The figure should reach, so you can use terms such as probably, likely, should, is likely to. Okay? So, as you know, these words are denoted with uncertainty. So, meaning you're giving a guess. You're just assuming that there would be those kinds of figures in the near future. But there is no accurate preciseness, or it's not accurate that they will reach those figures. You're just thinking that according to the graph, it projects that it will probably reach a certain number. Okay? So if you feel like you're confident to talk about future changes or increase or decrease in the graphs that you are going to describe, then you can use these expressions, okay? The figure is likely to. But of course, you have to have basis. You don't just say that this figure is likely to increase or decrease just because you want to. Of course, there should be a basis, okay? For example, if makikita mo makulimlim sa labas, you can say that it's more likely to rain this afternoon because it's gloomy and it's cloudy. The sky is gray. Okay, so ganun din sa pag-i-interpret nyo ng mga graphs and tables and charts. You interpret it because there's the basis, not just because you feel like you want to say something, okay? Yes. So, predictions, forecast, estimates. So, meron ding mga writing activities that will ask you to describe weather forecast. Have you ever encountered that in your mock test? How about people from here? Have you ever encountered weather forecasts in your writing activities? How many times have you had your mock tests? Several times? By the way, if you don't have time to come here, you can still access the online mock test. Kaso nga lang, the thing about you doing it at home is that you get a little lazy kasi andyan yung link eh. So you feel like, okay, I'll do this later, but then you don't really get to do it because you're in the convenience of your home. But if you come here in the testing center, wherein every Tuesday and Friday we provide 9 slots for the mock test, mas conducive kasi yung environment. Okay, so it encourages you to really focus on the task. So yeah, pero pwede ko naman din ibigay sa inyo yung link if you want. If you want to practice, if you have a high level of discipline, ako kasi wala eh. So, I don't like doing it at home. Actually, I have the link, but I've never had the mock test sa bahay. Because, mas masarap kaya manood ng K-drama. Ay, naman si Queen of Tears. Sino dito nanood ng Queen of Tears? O, di ba nakakaiyak talaga siya? Anyway, medyo late ako kasi, ewan ko. Inantay ko kasi yung Bridgerton Part 2 eh. Anyway, baka sabihin niyo kung ano sinasabi ko. Well, I do recommend watching the Bridgerton series. Why? It's because ma-enhance yung listening skills niyo sa British accent. O, di ba? Nailusot ko. But yeah, it will really enhance your listening skills sa British accent. And if you feel like you can use a British accent while speaking, then you can use Bridgerton to practice as well. Pero syempre, kailangan panindigan mo. If magsa-start kang mag-British accent ka sa speaking test, panindigan mo hanggang dulo yun, ha? Oh, well, water. Water lang yung But anyways, yeah. Okay. Ano na nga yung i-discuss natin? So, yes. You also... na ano na out of topic na tayo because of Bridgerton. But yeah. Huwag na muna kayong manood ng mga K-drama and mga kung ano-anong drama. Just focus on audio files or movies or series that would definitely help you enhance your listening skills. So, highly recommended those with American accent, British accent, Australian accent. If you want me to send some YouTube channels that could help you with the listening skill, then I think hindi yata pwede sa Wang Chong eh. Pero sa Discord, baka pwede ako mag-send ng mga links. Are you watching other online sources aside from attending reviews or these coachings? Are you watching like, example, meron akong fina-follow or nag-subscribe ako sa isang YouTube channel. She's really good when it comes to sharing about IELTS tips. And the thing about her lessons, super maiksi lang yung mga videos. And she explains it in a way that is very comprehensive and easy to follow. Do you know her? Parang siyang, I think she's Malaysian or something. But she's really good. Pero sorry, nakabayad na kayo sa review, so tsaga-tsaga na lang. But yeah, if you feel like medyo nakaka-umay na yung boses namin ni Sir Kevin, you can always find online sources. And I feel like these online sources for IELTS, they're also very helpful, okay? So her name is, I forgot her name, but the YouTube channel, ito. Are you familiar with her? Yeah, do you watch her video? Ang galing niya, super. Fast Track IELTS. So, ayan yung YouTube channel. Fast Track. So she has short videos and she also have YouTube content. So Fast Track, pero iisa lang yung T in the middle and then IELTS all in bold. Okay, bold letters. So currently she has 1.7 million subscribers. Ang galing. But she doesn't have an American accent though. I think she kind of has a British accent because she's from Malay. I don't know. Anong connect? Yung British at saka Malay. But yeah, Malay people don't have an American accent. Okay. So you can use this: predicted, expected, anticipated, forecasted, or estimated. These are all terms that you could use when you're describing about future projections or things that can be seen, you assumed in the future. Okay? All right. So these nouns are always combined with these prepositions, and you can easily use these terms. The comparison between or the comparison of, the differences between, the changes in, the number of, information on, data on, the proportion of, the amount of. Because if you do not use these in phrase form, you will not only commit grammatical errors in your writing, but there's a possibility for you to also misuse vocabulary words, meaning there are two reasons why you will be given deductions in your writing. And when it comes to writing, madali lang magbigay ng deductions because it's written. It's proof. It's evidence that you have made a grammatical or a vocabulary lapse. Unlike sa speaking subtest, sa interview, pwede kasi yan mas slip lang dahil during the interview, hindi naman niya isusulat lahat ng sinasabi mo eh. So even though you commit grammatical errors in the interview, it's not so obvious. Compared to writing, it is so obvious. That's why i-memorize nyo na yan. Okay? Okay, so it's already 10:30. I'm gonna give you a 10-minute break. And let's see each other after 10 minutes, okay? You can go out if you want, or grab some coffee, or whatever you want. Okay, so let's resume. Okay. Yeah. So sabi ko nga kanina, you just have to memorize these terms so that you can use them when you're describing something in the writing part. Okay. So sa mga GP, hindi na nila kailangan i-stressin sarili nila in memorizing these kasi hindi naman nila gagamitin yan. Pero yeah, you can still use it when you're in the speaking interview. Grabe, no? Speaking, tapos ganito yung mga itatanong sa'yo. What is the worst question that you've encountered in your speaking interviews? Or the most difficult questions? Ako para sa akin, yung pinakamahirap kong tinanong is how can you ease the traffic congestion in the Philippines? Na-encounter nyo na yon? Hindi nyo pa na-encounter. Okay, sa susunod. Pero yung mga students previously, I asked that question. How can you prevent or how can you solve traffic congestion in the Philippines? So you can use those terms earlier. The amount of vehicles, amount is used for uncountable nouns. Okay, the percentage of public transport is 70% in Manila. So probably the only way to ease traffic congestion is to remove the public transport. Kasi yung mga jeepney, yun yung nagkakos talaga ng heavy traffic, right? In Manila. Okay. Verbs plus prepositions. One of the most common mistakes among Filipinos is the use of prepositions. So you have to be very careful when using your prepositions because it can entirely change the meaning of a sentence or the way you describe something. That's why prepositions should be accurate most of the time. Okay? At all times. Or minsan hindi mo talaga maiwasan na magkaroon ng konting confusion when it comes to prepositions. But again, the best way for you to familiarize yourself with the right use of prepositions is definitely to memorize the prepositions. Okay? This year, unemployment has increased by 20,000 cases. The difference between this year and last year is 20,000 cases. Kasi, it says here the unemployment increased, meaning last year it was less than 20,000. That's why the difference is 20,000 cases. This year, there has been an increase in an unemployment of 5%. So the preposition is increased by. Verb, increase, and by is preposition. Increase in increase in unemployment, but the preposition is off, okay? There is an increase in unemployment of 5%. There's an increase of 5%. Kasi pwede mo rin yan i-change. But the proper phrase is increase of, okay? The unemployment rate has increased by 5%. Has an increase of 5%. Notice the prepositions. We used to increase by with the verb and an increase of with the noun. Okay. So increase by, increase in. Okay. So as you can see, the first example, it has been this year unemployment has increased by 20,000 cases. So ginamit natin siya in a verb form. Okay? But when we use the preposition of, we use it with the noun. This year there has been an increase. So yung increase dito, ginamit siya as a noun. There has been an increase. Hindi siya ginamit as a verb. Pero sa first example, it increased by, ginamit siya as a verb. Do you see the difference? Or do you want me to elaborate it a little more? Okay. Okay, yes. So let's move on to the next slide. This year, unemployment has risen to 10%. The end result is that unemployment is up to 10%. So risen, another term for increase you can use is risen. This year, there has been a rise in unemployment to 10%. Again, the former example was used as a verb, has risen, okay? But the latter example has been used as a noun. There is a rise. So pag ginamit mo yung verb, nag-iiba yung placement niya sa sentence compared to when you're using it as a noun. It's a little bit complicated to understand, but if you get the point, it's kind of easy, okay? So pay attention to this year unemployment. Yung unemployment has risen to 10%. And then the next example is this year, there has been a rise in unemployment to 10%. There has been a rise. So yung rise dito, it is not used as a verb. Rather, it's been used as a noun, okay? Notice the prepositions. We use to, rise to with the verb and rise to with the noun. Okay. Why are we including these examples in the discussion? Is because you can change the function of a certain word depending on how you structure it in a sentence. So it can be used as a verb and a noun depending on how you structure it. Okay, so we are giving you options. That's it. Supplement use peaked at 25% in April. So is it a verb or a noun? Peaked at. It is verb. Supplement use, peaked at, tumaas siya. Okay, yung pinakamataas daw niya is 25% in April. But the latter example, it reached a peak. So as you can see, my determiner, a peak of. So meaning, on the latter example, on the second example, it is used as a noun, not a verb. Parang hindi ka sure. Okay naman, naging gets naman. Okay. So that's the reason why I'm using this kasi nearsighted ako. So ayun. Is it clear the difference of how it is used? So on the first example, it's used as a verb, and on the second example, it's used as a noun. Okay? Another way to describe a change, the number of viewers fell to a low of only 1.1 million in August. So this sentence means that this is the lowest, one of the lowest records. The number of viewers fell to a low of only 1.1 million in August. Let's say we're talking about a movie, okay? So the sequel of a movie has been released and they were expecting the same count of viewers sa first part ng movie, which was, let's say, 2 million. However, the number of viewers fell to a low, meaning malaki yung naging decrease. From 2 million, naging 1.1 million in August. Or probably the movie was launched in June. That's 3 months. 3 months siyang on cinemas. So probably it's a blockbuster. However, the number of viewers fell. From the month of June, 2 million, naging 1.1 million na lang in August. Okay? Okay. So these are the expressions that you can use alternately. An increase, decrease of, increase, decrease to. What if no changes on the numbers or the records? So you can use terms such as leveled out or leveled at, remained stable, remained steady, stayed constant. Okay, so these are the terms that you could use if you're trying to describe something that just remained the same rate or the same number. Okay, so you can use peaked at, stood at, reached a peak of, reached at plateau to a low of. When you're talking about, okay, peaked at saka stood at saka reached a peak. Pataas yan. And then reach at plateau and to a low of is denoting facts that something decreased. Okay? So, since introduction pa lang yung mga pinag-uusapan natin dito, right? Ngayon pa lang natin pag-uusapan yung time expressions in the body paragraph. Okay. These are the time expressions that you could use when you are already in the body paragraph of your essay. Yung writing task nyo, it has to have an introduction, body, and conclusion, right? So those are the three main parts of an essay. Intro, body, and conclusion. Now, you can use these terms. Again, they will be provided in the PDF file, so there's no need for you to memorize them right away. Okay. Let's move on to this. Writing about a process. So when you're describing a procedure, I think one of the writing tasks that will be asked for you to do sa mga ACAD students is, I think, have you ever encountered like asking you to describe how a procedure works? Have you encountered something like that? Ano ba lang po yung mga na-encounter nyo? Graphs? At saka, ano pa? Lines? Aha, okay. So, if may mga graph man na nagpapakita ng mga dates in the past, in the present, and in the future, then probably you could use these expressions in the first stage or maybe in the first decade, right? So as you know, when we're talking about a process or how a procedure works, there are transition words or signal words that you could use, such as the first, second, third, mga ganyan, okay? So when you're writing about a process and you're gonna write about the beginning of something, these are the expressions that you could use. The process begins or starts. The process commences when. Okay? So that the reasons why we're giving you these writing tips is for you to avoid basic answers and for you to have diversity and for you to have options or something that you could use na medyo unique sa magiging answers ng most test takers. Okay? So, ayan din, yung mga transition words. After this, following that, this is followed by, in the following stage. All right. So, sa mga hindi rin naman ACAD students here, you could use this in the speaking subtest. Because there are parts of the interview, maaring lumabas yung tanong na, can you talk about your daily routine? So you could use these, right? In the morning, I do this, yada, yada, yada. Afterwards, I do this. But usually, when you're describing your routine, ano lang naman yan, morning, afternoon, and evening, right? So yeah, you can make use of these expressions. Another common question that would be asked in the speaking subtest or in the interview, they are asking you to talk about your work or your job. So you can talk about how you do your daily routines at work. So as a teacher, you can describe what students do in the beginning of the class, in the middle of the class, or at how you end your class. Okay, for example, me as a coach or instructor here in IELTS, the first thing that we do is secure your coffee. Hindi, joke lang. Of course, set up the projector and all the technical things that you need. And then, of course, the lecture. Lastly, the activity that we're going to do today. Parang kinabahan kayo. Well, to add to the kaba, it's a 13-page activity. So we have to start that in around, probably in 20 minutes. Let's start. Para meron kayong 30 minutes to answer it. So 11:30, let's start the writing activity. So sa mga GP, ay dapat pala hindi pala masyadong marami pinaprint ko. Kasi yung dalawa, hindi pala sila. Dapat, do you want to take the test? Sa akin naman, biglang naging GT no? Pero okay lang din. Pinasobrahan para just in case. Pero simulan natin siya ng 11:20 para marami kayong time magsagot. 11:20. Pero okay lang palang 11:30 kasi ayoko checkan dito eh. Ay, hindi pwede. Wala pa sa akin yung answer key eh. May magpapa-coaching ba today? Sino gusto magpa-coaching? Let's see. If we're gonna start at 1 p.m. Anong oras ba ako magsistay dito? Okay lang. Sige. Okay lang naman magstay ako dito. Friday naman today. Andito ako hanggang 2 p.m. 2:30 max. Okay. So, Irene, ikaw magpapa-coaching ka. And then, si ma'am, dalawa. At saka si Sheena. For sure, magpapa-coaching ka. Ayan, si Sheena. 2 more slots. So, we have Irene, Sheena, and Lenny. Ha? Hindi. Kahit mga 12:30. Wag 1 kasi masyadong late yung 1. Baka hindi matapos agad. Ha? So, 12:30. Start tayo ng 12:30. Sino first? Irene, ikaw na. And then, ikaw na, Sheena. And then, kayo po. So, meaning, pwede po kayong mag-lunch break while waiting for them. So, 3 lang yung gustong magpa-coaching today. Okay, that's good. Okay. Mga malapit na mag-exam tong mga to eh. Di ba po? Malapit na po kayo mag-exam. Okay. So, sa last stage naman ng, when you're talking about the last stage or when you're trying to end, like you want to end describing a certain process, these are the expressions that you can use. Finally, ultimately, eventually, the process ends when, the process ends with. Okay? Okay, now these are terminologies that you could use when you're describing positions and locations. Now, if you are going to encounter maps. Sa listening, nakakainis yung maps. Ang hirap. Di ba? Ang bilis din kasi magsalita pag sa maps. Okay. So you have to be fully aware of the different prepositions and prepositional phrases. Okay? So signal words na would help you are the words such as it's situated, located, positioned, around, above. Okay? You have to be fully aware. So if you want to know more about prepositions, isa siya sa mga grammar lectures. So we have a total of 10 individual grammar lectures. So pag nag-end na siya sa 10th lesson, babalik siya sa first. So if you feel like each grammar lesson has a specific focus. Okay? So there is one grammar lesson. I don't know which number it is, if it's 1, 2, or what. But it talks about prepositions. And if you feel like your prepositional knowledge is weak, you should attend that grammar lecture. Magulo ang YouTube channel ni Kevin. Oo. Medyo. Pero ako tinatry ko siyang i-organize yung mga ina-upload ko.
Pag na-realize kasi kung madalas nakalagay yung reading, lahat yung reading, tapos may kulang ba rin?
Magulo nga yung playlist ni Kevin sa channel niya. So, ganito ang gawin nyo. Huwag niyo akong isusumbungan. sa Wang Chong na private group natin, may search icon. May search icon, tas search bar doon. Tapos, i-type mo kung anong lesson yung gusto mong makita. Grammar 1. Yon, lalabas yung links at saka mga replay videos doon. Grammar 2, lalabas din yon. Oo, ganun na nga. Medyo magulo nga talaga yung playlist. So, I think he doesn't know how to use the playlist. Hindi kasi kaya nga may playlist to categorize per lesson. Like, yung group of lessons. But the thing is, it's not organized. I don't know why. And he has certain videos that are not public. Kaya, ano.
Nataka po ako, kasi nasabi ko kayo, oh, grammar, ano tong video na to, grammar din. So, wala naman sa video.
Ah. Yeah.
Tapos sinasabi mo na, ito sa grammar video, tol, all hindi mo maano.
Yeah, it's best if you just encode the title. Halimbawa, paano ba? Yun, yung numbers na lang. Kagaya nung sinabi ko, yung vocabulary lectures, I think it's up to 5. So if you want to type vocabulary 1, vocabulary 2, 3, yun na lang i-type nyo para lumabas yung exact na content na gusto nyo. Okay? Kasi if magre-rely lang kayo sa YouTube channel, ako na nagsasabing hindi siya organized, yung YouTube channel. But that's actually his personal YouTube channel, so we can't judge him for that. Kasi kanya yun eh. So probably I'll make my own soon, in the near future. Okay. So why is it very important for you to know these different prepositions? Kasi if namali ka ng intindi sa preposition, for sure, you will be supplying wrong answers as well. Or if you are gonna write the wrong position or location of a certain thing that you're describing in the task, it will also be a reason for you to have point deductions. Okay? So you have to be very familiar with these prepositional phrases. Okay. Okay. Useful vocabularies for describing maps. Residential areas. So residential areas talk about your houses, where you live, okay? Or where people live, okay? So you can use industrial areas, areas that have lots of factories. Commercial areas, businesses or stores, okay? Woodland, ito yung may mga forest or probably lots of trees, greenery. So you could use the word woodland, okay? Intersection talks about two streets with opposing directions. Proximity talks about the closeness of a certain building or place, okay? Construct, change, construct, relocate, demolish, replace, expand. Okay, so if you're talking about the map, let's say you see some changes from certain buildings on the map. So you can say that a certain building is relocated to, from Palm Street, it was relocated to Almond Street. But now if the building is no longer found on the map, probably it's demolished. So you can use the word demolish, okay? Or if the building is still there but is replaced by another store, you can say the building was replaced, okay? Or if a building, dati isa lang siyang floor, naging 2-story building or 3-story building, or probably the building itself expanded, so in width, so you can use these terms as well. Okay. So why are transition words so helpful? When you are writing, when a person has a big knowledge of transition words, it's an indication that you are competitive when it comes to your vocabs. Because apparently a person who doesn't use transition words sounds like a robot, okay? So ganito yon. The building is a 2-story building. Then you say, the building has a lot of taller buildings beside it. If you don't use transition words, you would sound very robotic even in the writing section. So it's very important to make use of transition words. Why? Why do we use transition words? Because we want to show, we use transition words to show the differences or comparison or contrast. Okay? So let's see these examples. The Middle East produces high levels of oil. However, Japan produces none. As you can see, there's a negative and a positive statement here. Japan produces none. That's the negative sentence. And the positive sentence is the Middle East produces high levels of oil. Okay? So the word, however, denotes that the next statement is opposite from the first statement. Okay? Let's say the Niner students, there's a big percentage of Niner students passing their exam. However, sa ibang, let's say, review center, there's a low percentage of students passing the exam, okay? So there's a contrast in those two statements. The number of male smokers in 2000 stood at 20% compared to 15% of the female population. Okay, what we use compared to when we are talking about two different elements. So we have male smokers and female smokers. So as you can see, kinompare yung percentage ng male smokers sa female smokers. Higher ang male smokers. You can also use terms such as in contrast and in comparison. Okay, anong oras na ba? Subordinating conjunctions. Okay, the Middle East produces high levels of oil, whereas or while Japan produces none. So, in these cases, you can also use these conjunctions to show transition and to show the difference between two different elements or subjects in a sentence. Okay? You can also use them in the middle or in the beginning of a sentence. Although the Middle East produced 100 tons oil, Japan produced none. Okay, showing similarities. Now, the biggest question here is what if there's an equal percentage between two countries? Okay, please avoid using the word it's a tie because it's actually like a Filipino term. It's much better if you use the terms a similar amount of or almost exactly the same as. Okay? These are better expressions because in other countries, when you use the words it's a tie or they are tied, it actually means the verb, which is to tie your shoelaces. Okay? I'm just gonna get the exercises. Pwede ba yun yung kailangan. Pwede na po kayo mag-modest later. Hindi po ako right. Ayun yun na lang. Pero okay lang din. Cute din yun. It's 13 pages each. Well, Wolfen, we excuse. Hindi mo na po. Hindi malayo po yan. Nagawa niyo na ba ito dati? O hindi pa? Good. Madali lang yan. Kaya-kaya yan. Ay, hindi kita bibigyan kasi hindi ka na mapag-lecture eh. So, baka mahirapan. Ha? I-try? Ay, sige. Nakaten ka na ba ng writing lectures ni Sir Kevin? Sure kayo ayaw nyo? Ano lang to, prepositions lang. May isa pang piniprint eh. Actually, konti lang siya. So, super laki lang kasi ng font. Okay. So, are you an Athens student? O yan, para sa'yo talaga yan. Because, ay, sige, okay lang. Okay. Thank you. You can attend the lecture tomorrow. Okay, bye. Sa mga nasa Zoom, I'm sorry, but I'll just send you the PDF copy. Kung gusto nyo, send ko na ngayon sa Discord yung yung PDF file para ma-check nyo siya sa phone. Gusto nyo ba? Ha? Like, do you want a copy right now so that you can easily answer? So, sa mga nasa Zoom, i-end ko na po dahil nag-writing activity na sila. See you guys soon. Bye! Attend po kayo ng lecture tomorrow si Sir Kevin ang lecture.